Well, I know you recently took a vaccine class.
Yes.
Yes. Is there any tidbits you learned from that class that you'd like to share?
So that was a pretty new topic. Personally, I never fully trusted them, just understanding the medical system and the greater perspective of everything in the world and the medical system, I guess. But it really opened my eyes, just the heavy metal portion. Because
Hmm.
I hadn't researched it a ton, thinking that it's mostly just like a virus and then, maybe a couple of additives. But oh my gosh, like the mercury, and then if it doesn't have mercury, it has aluminum
Hmm.
and aborted fetal tissue
Yeah.
and like animal cells. Like, oh my God, like who would want to inject that directly into the body? So that blew my mind.
Yeah.
And it just solidified my intuition being like, I don't think that this is necessary. And I heard before that there's no such thing as a true vaccination. I understand that there's like different homeopathic methods, but injecting a foreign protein into the body, I don't believe is going to do anything good. So, yeah, again, it just was like, oh, yeah, vaccines are probably not the best choice. And now I have information to back that up to explain it rather than just say it doesn't feel right to me. So, yeah,
Right.
really cool class.
Nice. Are they gonna have your like in your program, are they gonna have you take another vaccine class in the future? Do you know?
I know we take environmental poisons too,
Okay.
but I don't know what it entails. We talked basics about vaccines in this first one and then a little bit about more like heavy metals.
Okay.
But I know we probably talk about glyphosate and stuff like that and environmental poisons too. And I believe that's a fourth year class. So it'll be a couple more years till I take that.
Did they touch on the Gardasil vaccine?
Yeah, a little bit. I had to do a little bit more research, watching a few different documentaries. I had posted it on my Instagram, the Vaxxed documentaries, I
Yeah.
believe,
Mm-hmm.
VAXX, talking about the Gardasil. Basically, all of those women that were negatively affected were, I don't know the right word, they couldn't walk correctly, like they were somewhat paralyzed
Mm-hmm.
and unable to become pregnant and things like that. Thankfully, I had never gotten it. I was definitely in the age range to be getting
Mm-hmm.
it, but yeah, just so horrible that it's so normalized. And when I taught that public class as part of my homework, we have to teach public classes to our communities. People were saying, yeah, we just took them because that's what everybody did. We
Yeah.
didn't want to be the outliers.
Right.
And I think that speaks to a larger thing of one, people are not doing their education or doing their due diligence to do their own research because it's so normalized. We trust the experts that took place with the boomers, this older
Mm-hmm.
generation trusting the experts. They love the
Yep.
doctors, and no hate to the doctors at all. It's just the medical system that the experts know everything. You don't need to dive further, even when how many people are saying that they had been injured or they had an adverse reaction. So that was really the take home that I got from it, was to do our own research, to look at different sources rather than just the official government websites, because of course they're going to say things that make everything look better so that you can continue to take their product and continue to profit.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I did take the Gardasil vaccine, and I've got friends of mine that were close that I remember they fainted in the doctor's office after it being administered. And I know so many girls. I was just talking about this with Dr. Shannon Smith that received the Gardasil vaccine and then later on had cervical cancer.
Yes, that was the piece that I forgot. It actually gave it to them. So these
Yes.
girls were taking it
Yeah.
because they were like, I don't want cervical cancer, of
Mm-hmm.
course. And then they end up getting it
Yep.
because what are the real chances of you getting it? Like just living a normal life. It's insane that they convinced everybody to do that. A cancer for or a vaccine for cancer.
Yeah.
Like wow.
I know a girl got it. She got cervical cancer when she was 17. And I think this was like the second person she ever was intimate with in her whole life, right? So only two people. But she did get the Gardasil vaccine right before then. And so it's just sad to me that there's you can avoid that. And then also it's sad to me that women who have HPV don't know that there's herbal supplements that you can take to help the body clear that. You don't have to live with that. And Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
Hmm.
And at the end of that class, it was more about the natural remedies, and even taking 250 to 500 milligrams of vitamin C is very effective at keeping those childhood diseases at bay.
Hmm.
I'm not saying that you're not going to get them, but it's going to be a lot less severe. And if you do get it and get through it, you're going to be a lot more resilient at the end. So, and then learning about homeopathic nosodes as a natural vaccine, as close as you could probably get, and other countries accepting them. So there are definitely options.
Hmm.
And again, we need to do our own research as citizens, because at the end of the day, you're responsible for yourself and your family. You don't want to have to trust a central system, a centralized system. It showed us over and over again that the centralized system does not work.
Yes. Have you heard about in the COVID vaccines, there's parasites?
No, I have not heard
Oh,
that.
yeah. Okay.
Not surprised.
Yeah.
What type of parasites?
So depending on what brand you got, you get a different one. I'll have to send you. I have it saved, like each brand, what parasite. One of them, there's a Hydra parasite, which is
Um,
immortal. So these are like genetically modified
yeah,
parasites
of
that they're
course.
using as a bioweapon that affect, like, control the mind of the host. And yeah, well, I'll have to send you. Yeah, Robert O. Young. He is the one that risked his career to speak on this topic, and he has a dark field microscopy microscope. And so he looked at them under the microscope, and so once they are brought to temperature of like the human body, all of a sudden these parasites start hatching. The eggs start hatching.
Wow.
Yeah, like they come alive.
What a perfect design
I
that they
know.
made.
They really did good.
I did see a video. I don't know if it was, you don't know if anything's AI these days or true or not
Mm-hmm.
online, but I think somebody had a hydra on their kidney or something, and they were doing surgery and they were questioning what it was. Like they could physically see it. I don't know
Wow.
if
Yeah.
they can grow to a visible size. Again, I just saw the quick thing on social media, so
Yeah. Well, I mean, there is reports about those like fibrous, like strings
yeah.
forming. So I'm wondering if that is a form of, like, is that a parasite? Because how
Yeah.
else can it like self-assemble, and unless it has its
Well,
own consciousness and
yeah, then there's the nanotechnology part and
hmm
corpses having Bluetooth signals in the cemeteries.
yeah.
It's just so yeah, they're getting us. It seems like every single corner they're backing us into a corner, and I don't know. It's getting pretty crazy out there if it wasn't already.
Right. Yeah. It is pretty wild. I saw that you've been posting a few videos with Dr. Brian Iris lately.
Yeah, I don't follow him super closely, but he just makes me laugh.
Oh yeah, he's
So
good at explaining.
yeah, he's just like he's very sarcastic,
Yeah.
which that's more like how I am. So I usually can learn good from him.
Yes.
Yeah, I recently just what was I watching the video of him? What video was it that I was talking about? How there was like bacteria or something in toilet paper that can make you fat. Like there's just
Oh, I don't know. What was that?
they were like, we all need organic bamboo toilet paper. All the Costco and Target toilet paper is making you fat, and
Artist says
pickles.
this?
Yes.
What?
So yeah, you'll have to watch the video
Yeah.
again. It seems so random, like if you don't really understand who he is or
Yeah.
how crazy this world is.
Yeah.
But I mean, when I heard it, I was like, yeah, I'm not even shocked. And even Dr. Ed Group, very everybody thinks very highly of him. He's very well known.
Yeah.
Did not know this, and so he had completely changed his whole house to bamboo because they're like, it's in the toilet paper, and of course it is because everybody uses it.
Yeah.
Even if they have a bidet, people usually still keep it on
Mm-hmm.
hand. So yeah, just he opens your eyes to so many things that you never would have
Yeah.
even thought of.
Wow. Well, I'm gonna have to find that now.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
crazy.
I went pretty obsessive with Brian Artist when I was doing my research paper on the nicotine topic and venom in pharmaceuticals, and I like kind of took a break from how obsessive I was. Like I was watching at least like 2 of his videos a day and taking notes of on those videos, and I miss his material is what I gotta say. So I'll have to find that. So I remember when the school had their own like TED Talk version. They had Night Speaks, and you presented, and you did amazing, and you won that, right?
Thanks. Yes.
Yes, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was a really cool opportunity. And I think it surprised people that knew me maybe that I did that because I'm so introverted and like,
Mm-hmm.
I think people can tell that I'm always just in my head and like, I don't know, just introverted. And it's not that I'm not friendly, but when I had gotten this opportunity, I didn't think about how large the crowd was or anything. I was like, I have to do this. People need to understand
Yes.
light and health.
Mm-hmm.
And I had previously researched it for 2 3 years before attending naturopathic school. So I felt like I had a good enough foundation to be able to teach a crowd about it for at least 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I practiced a lot, and yeah, everybody seemed to respond really well, which was really nice
Mm-hmm.
because it was either going to be really good or people were going to be like, yeah, that doesn't resonate. So
Mm-hmm. Well, would you mind teaching us about work by Dr. Jack Cruz?
yes, yeah, so he's really the reason why I got into light and everything. I had picked up the Epi Paleo RX book. I don't know if you're familiar with
Mm-mm.
his book. Very good.
I didn't know he had. Yeah, I didn't know he had one.
Yeah, he wrote it pretty early on when he was teaching all this stuff. And he doesn't go into the deep science. He pretty much just tells you how it is
Okay.
to help people heal.
Yeah.
But I remember I was following some nutritionist and he was talking about Jack Cruz, and I was like, this is exactly what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I picked up the book and I read it, and it was talking about how diabetes is a seasonal thing and animals will go into diabetes um, before hibernation. So it
Really?
acts as, I don't know the specific explanation, but essentially their blood acts as antifreeze when they have so much sugar and insulin. Yeah, sugar in it. They're
Mm-hmm.
insulin resistant, so blood sugar. So their limbs don't fall off. That I remember him explaining it like that. And then again in the spring, you are insulin sensitive again because throughout the winter you fasted. They were in fat burning mode all
Mm-hmm.
winter, and then spring they finally awaken. They're moving their body again, and then what are they eating? They're eating like more greens, and then increasing more fruits and things. Of course, meat, and depending on the animal. And then in the summer, we are the most insulin sensitive. So I was just like learning about the cyclical nature of the body. I was like, oh, like duh. Like
Yeah.
it's right in front of us. And if we just observe nature as humans, because we are nature, and realize this is the blueprint just by looking around. So that was the big aha. There's so much that he teaches, and a lot of great people have taken his information and broken it down in a much more digestible
Mm-hmm.
format. So there's a lot of great people to learn from. But the light piece really is what struck me, because realizing that light or dark is an input to the body 24 hours a day, 7 days a week,
Yeah.
always. We eat food how many times a day? I'm not saying that food is not important. I definitely believe food is medicine, and
Mm-hmm.
herbs are very helpful. But light is something that is so foundational to life. And I started out saying that light is a nutrient, but really my realization now is light is the foundation of all life,
Yeah.
because it's God created the heavens and the earth, and then he created light.
Mm-hmm.
The spark of life in the
Yep.
uterus when a baby is being conceived is a zinc spark
Yep.
of light. Even the cells, biophotons, now I don't fully know the story of biophotons, it's a new topic, but biophotons command biochemistry. It's not the other way around. A lot of people think, yeah, we emit biophotons, but it's the biochemistry that makes them. No, it's the other way around, because we are light at the end of the day. So it's such a broad topic, but when you just look at it from that perspective, it's like, how can it not be literally the most foundational
Yeah.
aspect? So it makes sense to me.
Yeah, I remember watching some of his content. He was talking about how your light environment is more important than diet and exercise. Like you should prioritize your light environment before you go and prioritize the others.
Yeah. Now he does say like food doesn't matter, and that's just, I mean, in my opinion, I don't think that's true. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I know a study that he's referring to. I don't know if you're familiar. There was a study, Jeff Leach.
Mm.
He had presented at the Weston A. Price Foundation, I believe, in like 2017 or something. I still can't find his presentation. I just have always heard Jack talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially, he had fed these hunter gatherers, the Hadza tribe, I believe, like antibiotics and pop and just Western foods. And he had measured their microbiome before and after, and there was zero change. I don't know how long it was done or anything like
Mm-hmm.
that, but essentially the argument was that they were grounded 24/7. They were in the proper light environment, and that ultimately forms the microbiome in the body as a whole. And so his argument is you can have antibiotics or whatever as long as your light environment is right. Now, I don't know any modern human that's going to be able to be grounded 24/7 or in just pure natural light 24/7 in the current paradigm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there will be times after we get through this weirdness of the world that we will have buildings and better architecture and just a better lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely light for me is number one. Nutrition definitely does follow, and exercise is definitely important.
Mm-hmm.
It conducts electricity in the body and things like that. And food also acts as light in the body.
Yes.
So it's just, yeah, you can't argue that light is the only thing, but it's definitely the most foundational in my opinion.
Dr. Alexis, I remember, is it Cohen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or Cohen, I don't know the specific pronunciation.
I did her, she would do these things that you can purchase to get like additional education done by her. I'm trying to remember when this was. It's been a while, but I remember I purchased it, and I remember one of the videos in it, she was talking about how like cannabis and tobacco, how when we are like deficient in light, we are going to crave certain substances that helps bring light into our body, and both of those do. So she was saying that if you are to reach for cannabis and tobacco, you're going to want to reach for cannabis and tobacco that was grown by natural sunlight because of the way that the light exchange goes. Like the synthetic light is not going to be the same as the natural sunlight. But I thought that was interesting that like our intuition will make us crave substances that bring light into the body. And that's what both of those do.
Yeah. I've never heard that specifically, but that, I mean, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Took notes on that one. I was because like this is crazy. What?
Yeah, her brain is amazing.
Yes.
Amazing. Love her.
She is. I remember I DM'd her because I think I brought this up to you how I went on the celery juice kick a few years ago, and I went like 150 something days. Mind you, I was doing other juices as well. Like randomly, I'd do like an apple juice or other things that I'd make, right? Fresh juices. But mainly it was starting my day with celery. And I would eat normally throughout the day. You know, I was just adding that to my regimen. And how I went to Miami after doing this, even still doing this for 150 days, and I didn't get a sunburn. And I always burn. Like out of everybody, I'm the one that burns. And everyone else around me got a sunburn but me. And so I'm like, it has to be something to do with like the celery, maybe. But I know they teach about like seed oils in your diet will cause you to burn. So maybe because I was having those juices and not drinking as much, I guess I don't really realize what exactly would have changed in my diet in that way. But my theory is there's something to do with the sodium cluster salts in the celery because I know Jack talks about how like a lot about salt and like how the IV bags at the hospital are it's salt and there's salt for a reason. And so I don't really know how to piece it all together. She couldn't really figure out what I was trying to say, but I appreciate her replying to me.
Was she just confused? Like she didn't give a clear explanation?
No, she wasn't sure how to
she just
how to explain it scientifically, and she thought it was interesting, you know, what I was saying, what I was telling her, but
yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah.
I mean, it would make sense. You get more biophotons, so you have more light internally, so it's not as much of like a stressor externally. You're already kind of matching it. And then, of course, the minerals, and maybe it's, you know, making the cells more resilient in some way, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really interesting. I never heard anything about that except for when you had messaged me about it.
Yeah. One day I'll figure it out. But so if you were to give, let's say a client comes to you and you give them the pitch of how to like utilize light the proper way? What's like the main things that you teach them?
Okay, so there's many ways to explain this. I'll list them off and then I'll give you some examples. So definitely first, I think everybody in the light space will say watch every sunrise. That is like your anchor for your circadian rhythm, your 24-hour rhythm that your body follows. And there's other rhythms like the circannual rhythm, which is like based on the seasons.
Okay.
There's so many different rhythms happening in the body, but light commands all of them.
Ooh.
So when you get that sunrise, it's telling your body where you are in time, place, and space. Mitochondria are not only your powerhouses, but they're sensors. So they're trying to sense where you are. The body's always like, where are we? What information's going on? What cascades can we initiate? What energy do we need? So that's so foundational. I tell everybody that my family does not do this. I'm the only one out there. I will watch it with my dog, but maybe one day they'll come around. So sunrise always.
Mm-hmm.
And then generally just trying to get off outside as often as possible during the day. Um, Obviously, I could explain it very scientifically, but clients are not looking for that. Right. They're looking for practical. Excuse me. So, yeah, outside as often as possible. Preferably, you would eat lunch outside. Now, preferably, you would also eat breakfast outside, but lunch especially. You can get a little bit of indirect light in the shade. I used to eat lunch at a picnic table under tree shade. That was great. Light helps you absorb your nutrients. I believe it's like 30% more, or something like that. I would have to look back at the data, but because every nutrient has a different absorption spectra of light, essentially. So when you're in an office, you're not absorbing that beautiful organic food that you bought with full of biophotons, as well as if you were outside.
Yeah.
So lunch outside, preferably you would have a walk afterwards, get that piezoelectricity in the muscles, just getting everything flowing, moving that lymphatic system. Of course, getting that direct sunlight on the face and as much skin as possible. And then pretty much that is consistent throughout the rest of the day. Get outside. How long? As long as possible, even if it's 30 seconds, that's great. Pop your head out. If you want to look out of a window, you need to open it. If you're looking through glass, it's blocking the important spectrum. It's creating an artificial light source that way as well. So you need to physically open it. You can look through a screen. That's fine. Just not a window. And then around sunset, ideally we would have our meal just before sunset or right around when the sun is still out. So again, we're absorbing those nutrients properly when the light is out. And then we would preferably watch the sunset, even if we're pop our head out again, like, oh, yep, the sun's setting, to tell our body that's our second anchor of the day to wind down, to create melatonin. And then I usually tell clients to avoid turning on like the big lights, the overhead lights. A lot of people, I feel like, innately don't want the big lights on in the evening because it's overstimulating. So that's usually not a huge deal. Lamps, I love lamps. Turn on one low lamp that's like at eye level, because where a sun set at eye level. So the angle also matters. And then if you really want to be optimal, well, maybe not optimal, but better than a normal light bulb that's energy efficient, you would get a blue free bulb that's nice and warm amber, or a red bulb, because that, again, that's somewhat replicating the sunrise or the sunset frequency of color. Of course, artificial bulbs are never optimal. Preferably you just go to bed at sunset, but there's modern life, people have kids, it's just not feasible. So as long as I can get a client out of sitting inside all day and then being on their phone before bed, and then not having good sleep, and then not regenerating and being tired, and that whole cascade. So going back to that, not going on your phone before bed, very stimulating to the body. You're not going to be making melatonin. You're going to be wondering why you cannot fall asleep. And then you're going to take exogenous melatonin, which is just not a good idea in my opinion. And then you're not going to regenerate as you should. And then it's just this whole thing. And then the world is all the chemicals and stressors. It's crazy. So I always explain to clients, light is so foundational. I know it sounds crazy because I'm not explaining the whole thing to them. But just try the sunrise thing and see how you feel and move from there.
It's interesting when you brought up about how nutrition wise, for your body to absorb the nutrients, it needs the light. And I think I maybe shared this with you, but I know in the cannabis community, with the red light that they're adding, if they do just 5 minutes of red light exposure a day, it's speeding up their harvest or shorting their harvest by a whole week, how long it takes for everything to grow by 1 week. So it's helping the plants uptake nutrients. So that makes sense with what you're saying. Now, my question is, what are your thoughts on tanning beds?
Tanning beds, yes.
Like, let's say the tanning bed has UVB and UVA and red light. What do you think?
So red, UVA, and UVB
Mhm.
only. I'm always going to say I don't like them.
Okay.
No matter the spectrum.
Okay.
Now, if that's like somebody's only option, they're like, but I love it, but this is the only way. Sure. I would probably muscle test them to be like, can your body handle this? So the whole thing is, it's still not full spectrum because
Mhm.
it only has the red and then the UVA and UVB. If you look at the electromagnetic spectrum, I have this dialed in. It goes from infrared on the far side, and then it
Mhm.
goes red and all the colors of the rainbow, Roy G. Biv, and then it goes to ultraviolet. So if we go red to ultraviolet, it's still creating an artificial source. It's still not
Yeah.
technically full spectrum. Not to say that there's probably not benefits coming from them, especially in the modern lifestyle
Mhm.
where we're constantly in offices, and like if that's the only thing you can possibly get, then sure. But again, looking at it from a spectrum perspective, I don't love it. Now there are a lot of tanning beds that are UVA only, and then that's really bad because why would you only get UVA that's
Right.
not in nature? But again, the power grid. I don't know if you're familiar with the power grid, alternating current.
Mhm.
My dad's an electrician, so we always talk about AC, DC, and things like that. But when something is plugged into our power grid, alternating current, especially a light, it's flickering
Yeah.
120 times a second. So when we're in a tanning bed that has a super high powered light,
Oh, I didn't.
it's flickering 120 times
Yes.
per second. So maybe it feels good, maybe the spectrum is decent, but you're getting that flicker, and that's so stressful to the brain and to the photoreceptors in the
Mhm.
body. So I wonder if it's more of a stressor than helping.
Interesting. Yeah.
I'm not going to completely say like nobody should ever use them ever, but I would not recommend them generally. And then plus the EMF output,
Yeah.
a lot of them, I don't know if any are controlled for EMF, just because electromagnetic frequencies from the power grid, again, especially a large device like that, probably has a huge magnetic field,
Yeah.
a non-native magnetic field, and that's causing our cells to spin the improper way and dehydrates us. So yeah, it's an interesting topic.
Yeah.
I haven't researched a ton though, like if there's specific studies on a bed that has red, UVA, and UVB. But if you're carving out that time to be in the bed and the sun's available, I would just say go outside. I know in Michigan and northern climates, it's hard to
Mhm.
get full light. We have a lot of cloudy days, and then we have geoengineering that dims the sun anyways. So I'm never going to be an extremist on this topic. I guess I'll say that because extremism never wins, but generally, no.
Do you follow her? She's a doctor. Her name's Courtney with a C. I think she's an OBGYN. She like lays hints about tanning beds because
Yeah.
she's got to protect her medical license, is what she says. But she kind of hinted towards it, and then this was freshly after my dad passed away, so I tried it and I noticed a difference of like me driving there, I could be crying, right, in a sad, and then I do a 10-minute session, and then driving home, I'm singing to the music. Like, there's no drugs that do that to me. There's, so I'm like, what is it? What is this light doing? Because it completely like lifted like my mood and depression and
Wow.
yeah.
That's so cool.
So from me experiencing that, not that I'm going to recommend it to anyone unless you're going through like a grief like that. I definitely do recommend it. I feel like that's better than pharmaceutical drugs, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. In that case, if
Yeah.
that's really helped you that much, I
Yes.
mean, I would say go for it.
Yeah.
Especially like what time of year was that really?
Winter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so winter in Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
we're already kind of depleted. Even if you're living a perfect circadian lifestyle, you're probably still going to feel a little bit low. And then, yeah, so I'm not mad about that. But did you research why you had felt that way afterwards?
I think I remember messaging you about it, and I think it was the UVB. I can't remember which one that helps with like the serotonin.
Yeah, okay. So it was UVB, UVA, and red.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, usually UVB stimulates pro-opiomelanocortin or POMC. That's what a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people like to talk about in this space. It's basically a gene, I believe, that cleaves different pathways, and through that pathway, we can create endorphins.
Oh.
And UVA also stimulates the creation of serotonin, and um, different amino acids convert into different neurotransmitters, I believe, like serotonin.
Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense. And plus, in the winter, you're already depleted,
Yeah.
and then you get that great hit. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I remember they also had a red light bed that I was using for a while. And one day I noticed it seemed like a UTI was coming on for me. And I needed to get something right to be proactive. So I started taking herbs, but I remember learning about like how red light can kill certain like viruses and bacteria. So I did 15 minutes under the red light. Um, and I don't know if it was that or the herb, but nothing progressed after that. But I really contribute a difference in like the inflammation feeling after I did the 15 minutes in the red light.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's super cool. What herbs were you taking?
Uva ursi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, the red light, is it red and infrared or just red?
It's red and infrared.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like, that infrared is also structuring your water in your cells to basically exclusion zone water, so it can exclude anything that it doesn't want, so to excrete toxins out. So that makes sense. Even if I don't ever remember reading about red killing viruses or anything. I'm not saying that that's not true. I definitely believe that, but totally makes sense. That was a great little treatment plan that you did.
Yeah, I learned about the red light with viruses from Dr. Brian Ardis.
Oh.
So, Kellogg's cereal and how
Yeah.
he had a brother who was a doctor and doing research. He did research on red light with venom, and it removes venom. So it helps when people. Yes.
Wow, that's so
Yes.
cool. Wait, so it was the creator of Kellogg or the brother?
The brother.
Because I know Kellogg himself had done different things like heliotherapy. He had a heliotherapy clinic in Battle Creek himself.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So that's interesting. I didn't even know about
their brother.
brother.
Yeah, there's a brother who,
Wow.
he was a doctor.
Look into that and add that to my paper.
Yeah. Brian Ardis.
Love that guy.
Yeah.
He's so knowledgeable.
Dropping knowledge bombs. But yeah, I noticed like when you go through a grief where you lose a parent, the depression, it just like your body just goes so weak from it. And so I noticed I would be physically weak. I would lay in the red light bed for 15 minutes. And then afterwards, I would get out and I would be able to flex muscles that I literally couldn't flex before.
Wow.
So I don't know what it's doing, but it's doing something.
Yeah.
And yeah, so whenever I felt like a failure to thrive, so to speak, I would go there and get rejuvenated. And
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, regardless of like a scientific explanation, just personal experience, I think we also need to consider. Like, our society is so scientific based, and we need the data, and we need these the stupid randomized control clinical trial to prove everything. But some things you just don't need.
Yeah.
And like a personal anecdote like that, I would take that over some paper that was funded by who knows who and who got money from who.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe we don't need an explanation, but you felt it and it worked, and look at you today.
Yeah.
So.
Not that I'm approving of this product, but there was this like body lotion that they sold that goes with red light.
Mm.
And I think it had like copper or something. I'm trying to remember what was the ingredient inside of it that would react to the red light. But I used that. Obviously, it's got all these chemicals in it. But
yeah, of course.
I tried it. I'm like, okay, let's try it out. And I noticed a difference. Like
What was the difference?
my skin just seems so much softer, healthier, um, not as dry. Like I don't know how to really explain it.
So yeah, you
More
just think,
youthful,
yeah.
more yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was copper, but I would be surprised if there was green tea in it too. Have you seen the photo of, there was some, of course, this was a study, but they had applied green tea to the face and then they did red light therapy. And within 3 months, the wrinkles like around the eyes were noticeably like pretty much gone. Of course, there was a little bit, but 3 months of green tea and red light therapy.
Wow.
I'll have to send you the picture, but pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think I may have seen something similar to that. There's this girl that I follow on Instagram. She's a naturopathic doctor in Canada. I
Is
think her
it Andra?
yes,
Yeah, she
yeah,
posted it.
yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah. So I'm like, I need to make a green tea spray and just like spritz my whole body
Yeah.
before I go out in the sun.
Oh, that's a good idea. I didn't
Yeah,
think about going in the sun.
yeah.
Wow.
The natural red light. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna have to do that this year then. Make a nice sun tea, and then lather it on before sunbathing.
Yeah. And like, let's say you're sunbathing, but you're getting hot, you can use it to cool you down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Add some cucumber.
Yeah.
Have it chilled.
Have it chill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the red light thing. I feel like that's something that I try to explain to people, especially people who are struggling to sleep.
Mm.
But I feel like it's hard to really get it through to people of how important this is.
Yeah, we're so shut off from light and like impacting the body other than, I don't know. I think most people don't really understand it. I mean, they understand that the big lights are stimulating and so they want lamps. I always see people on social media like, we don't use the big lights in this house. We only use lamps because they're like overstimulated.
Yeah.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, convincing people that light is foundational to life and artificial light is different and red light therapy is so medicinal, it goes over a lot of people's heads.
Yeah.
So unless you, a lot of people are skeptics, but until you feel that difference and see that difference, you may not be fully convinced, I think.
Yeah. Well, so you recently took a class where you guys were outside, right?
Yes, we took on field herbology.
That sounds great.
Yeah, it was very different from the rest of the classes. I feel like the first year was a lot of lecture and note taking, and like they say, the fire hose of information. Like they just talk to you the whole time, which I like to learn that way, so it's not a big deal. But this was very much slower and very hands on, and people could share their personal stories with these plants.
Ooh.
And we even got to sit and meditate with our chosen plant the last day, and it would like we would get messages from the plants. I know it sounds so crazy, but it's very real, and it was amazing. So,
wow.
Becoming a naturopathic doctor, you learn about all these ugly things about the world, like the vaccines and just the nefarious things that go on. But then you learn about the plants, and they're there as conscious beings that are fed light just like us, and they can communicate with us, and they can offer us so much help. And so I know I had posted on my story, like these plants had reminded us, like, we're not going to heal the world in a day. We just need to continue to be students. We need to slow down, take it day by day, and just kind of like go with the flow. So it was a really nice class to, like, as part of our curriculum to become doctors is to walk around and identify plants in the woods and talk to them and listen to them. It's really cool.
I love that. Would you mind talking about like eating for the seasons and like the science behind why that would be beneficial?
Yeah. So again, a lot of people will argue with me when I bring this up. They're like it's better than eating a bag of chips, like eating a fruit out of season. Like definitely, but that's not the goal here.
Right.
The goal here is to be as healthy as we can, to support the world, and yeah, to support the world in the best way possible, and to advocate for like an upgrade of consciousness. Is that not the goal here in this world? I think we're here for a lot of lessons, but coming back to like reality here. Like eating with the season is so foundational. Again, this has been normal for generations and generations, and it's not been until very recently that we've switched to having everything available in the grocery store year round.
Mm-hmm.
Like here in Michigan, we can have tropical fruits year round.
Yeah.
And like again, fruit's great, but in the wintertime, your body's metabolizing that completely differently than in the summer. It is not the same thing to the body. So let me try to put this simply. So food ultimately is made from light. Plants, of course, are made from light through photosynthesis, but even the animals that eat the plants, of course, are reversing photosynthesis in their mitochondrial respiratory chain. And so they're eating light. They're
Mm-hmm.
eating what that sun created in that plant. And the sun is different everywhere in the world. So it's very hyper local, the best plants for you. You experience the same light as the plants around you. We are not experiencing the same light as the plants grown in Florida, for example. Very, very high UV compared to here. They have different light stability. They have different type of water, different magnetism there. It's completely different. It's not the same. So even an apple from Michigan and an apple from Florida,
Wow.
not the same. I do not see it as the same thing. So again, when we eat plants, we reverse that photosynthesis in our mitochondrial respiratory chain to unfold that light and that water and the sugars into us and to create who we are. So really all it is information. I know Jack Cruz likes to call it a bar. It's like a barcode of information, the food that we eat, and it's very true. And so think about all the different barcodes in the grocery store. Each plant has a different barcode based on its location. Now I would say, of course, hyper local and your general city would be best. But even if it's your state, that's great. I aim to eat Michigan or even Midwest foods as often as possible. So the body metabolizes things so differently in the seasons, like I had said. So let's go through the seasons. Summertime, we're currently in summer. We're approaching the longest day of the year, summer solstice, this Friday. We're increasing in light intensity. And so when we are outside, we're interacting with that increasing light intensity. So our body is primed to digest carbohydrates because carbohydrates only grow in UV rich environments. Think about wintertime here. What's available?
Yeah.
No fruit.
Yeah.
Fruit season is summer and fall.
Wow.
Really, because the UV. UV can create sugar and create carbs. So we are very insulin sensitive. We can tolerate lots of carbs the more time we spend outside. Now, again, eating that same apple or peach inside versus outside, it's still in the summertime is going to be metabolized slightly differently because when we're receiving that light, we can absorb the nutrients properly and we can have a lower blood sugar response. So summertime is pretty much pretty easy, especially here in Michigan because we have all the fruits and vegetables at the farmer's market. Of course, meat's still in season. But then in the fall, after summer solstice here, the 20th of June this year, the solar intensity declines until December, and it's the shortest day of the year. So as it declines, we increasingly become insulin resistant. Slowly, though, very slowly. But in the fall time, what are we eating? It's Thanksgiving. We're having all the root vegetables, kind of a carb-heavy meals still. But we're not metabolizing it the same as in the summer. Instead of being very sensitive and just being able to process it quickly, we're actually gaining fat and we're actually not metabolizing that sugar as well. But what that is doing is preparing us for wintertime. And we see this in animals. I even have a dog. It's amazing that she spends a lot of time outside. She gets a winter body and a summer body. So she gets real chunky in the fall and winter, and then she slims right down. Right now, she looks really good. But it's so easy to look at animals and see what you're supposed to be doing. All the animals are trying to get the last fruits and things. Squirrels are harvesting. Everybody's getting ready for a cold, hard winter, especially here in Michigan where we have 4 distinct seasons. So yeah, we have lots of squashes, carbohydrates, fruits in the fall, but we're metabolizing it so we store a little bit of fat. Then in the wintertime, there's really no produce. If there is, we pretty much just like stored those root vegetables in the cellar,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just kind of an extra thing. But mainly it's protein that's available. It's other animals and like eggs if your chickens are still doing that. And so we're the most insulin resistant because there's pretty much no light, very low amount of light. We can't make vitamin D from the UV here because we're so far north. And if we were to eat carbs, we would have a crazy insulin response because we're like, oh my gosh, we cannot create that response this time of year. Like, what is
Mm-hmm.
this information coming in? Why do we have a tropical fruit coming in and it's wintertime, Christmas? It's a mismatch and it's confusing. And ultimately, that creates inflammation.
Wow.
And then there's the whole story of deuterium, which is basically a heavy form of water, a heavy form of hydrogen that is in the water, H2O. People, or not people, climates that are more tropical, higher UV, have a more deuterium content because we excrete it with UV light more towards the equator. So they can eat lots of carbs that are high in sugar, high in deuterium, because they can excrete it quicker with the UV. But up here, we cannot. So we actually get loaded with this deuterium, and it can gum up our mitochondria, our powerhouses, our sensors, and it can create an incoherence in the body. So pretty crazy just from not eating what's local and seasonal. But going back to it, so wintertime, it's meat, insulin resistance. But then in the spring, it's like, oh my gosh, if you try to eat seasonally in Michigan, like no fruit in the winter and barely any produce. By the time spring rolls around, you're like dying for some greens. You're like, please
Mm-hmm.
just like let's shed some fat. So that increasing UV light actually sheds that fat in the body, and naturally you do
Oh,
want to move more.
yeah.
But I had read it was like an Ayurvedic perspective that we have the highest triglycerides in the body in the spring because we had accumulated all the extra fat for winter, and now we're metabolizing it through the bloodstream to excrete it.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was really interesting. But then the bitter greens that we have usually is the first things to come around. Herbs really support the liver to metabolize that fat and such. So, of course, there's so much more to it. I do have a post on this, I believe, on Instagram that goes deeper, but it just shows you how perfectly everything designed is. And when we eat a processed food, that has no light signature to it. It has like
Mm-hmm.
no information for the body. So it drives me crazy when people are like, it's 12 p.m. at night and I gotta hit my macros, and they're like, what should we put together to have this much fat? And no, the body does not see it like that. It sees it as light.
Yeah.
And we should not be eating that late at night
Mm-hmm.
anyways. We should be eating when the sun is out, fasting when it is dark. It's very simple. Look at all the animals again. It
Mm-hmm.
is the template. So if somebody's like, wow, this is a lot, you don't even need to know the science. You need to look at animals in nature in your environment and see what they're doing and replicate that. It's that simple.